The gala hall was glittering, chandeliers dripping light onto polished marble floors. Everyone laughed, toasted, and whispered, but none of it was for me. I wasn't just ignored. I was erased. My sister, the golden child, basked in every compliment. And I had spent a decade building a company worth more than her lifestyle magazine empire. Tonight she would finally notice, but not for the reasons she expected. My name is Clara Monroe, and my family has always loved her more. Not me. I grew up quiet, calculating, ambitious. The kind of child who learns to survive by observation. Meanwhile, my sister Lila thrived on charm, smiles, and applause. When I launched my own startup in London, my parents barely glanced at my press releases. Meanwhile, Lila's every Instagram post was celebrated like a Nobel Prize announcement. The betrayal wasn't dramatic. It was constant. Missed birthdays, overlooked graduations, family dinners where I sat quietly while she soaked up attention. Every achievement I had, they treated as convenient background noise. It wasn't until the day my company secured a major strategic partnership worth millions that the final straw broke. My parents showed up at the launch party, but only to talk about Lila's new gallery opening. I realized, in their eyes, my success didn't matter. That night, lying in my penthouse apartment overlooking the Thames, I traced every slight, every ignored achievement, and every silent dismissal. I remembered how, at 12, I had saved up to buy my first computer while Lila demanded a new tablet from our parents. How I had worked through night shifts in university while my sister partied at charity galas. Every injustice was a brick, and suddenly I saw a structure emerge. A plan that could finally tilt the scales. For weeks, the resentment festered. Every polite smile from my parents felt like a mask over a subtle dismissal. Every congratulatory email I sent was ignored, while Lila's smallest victories were broadcast as family triumphs. I felt invisible. And invisibility can either crush you or sharpen you. I chose the latter. I poured myself into strategy, studying every weakness in my sister's business ventures. Her empire, full of image consultants, social media managers, and luxury branding, looked untouchable. But beneath the gloss, the finances were sloppy, contracts were vulnerable, and her so-called trusted advisors had blind spots. I didn't want wealth alone. I wanted control. I wanted to teach them all that the quiet, overlooked one is often the most dangerous. I started with patience. I observed every meeting, every deal, every email thread I could legally access. I hired financial analysts to quietly monitor her empire. I discovered that several of her exclusive partnerships were built on contracts that could be legally challenged, and that the bank lines she relied on were heavily contingent. She was exposed even if she didn't know it. I acquired key intellectual property rights quietly. I analyzed debts, projected cash flows, and partnered with a silent investment consortium. Every move was invisible, every email untraceable, every action surgical. Lila continued her high-profile launch parties, curated press, and public image dominance. To the world, she was untouchable. To me, she was a case study. The next phase required subtle infiltration. I networked with some of her board members under the guise of research collaborations. Over lunches and conference calls, I planted ideas, gauged loyalties, and tested vulnerabilities. People underestimated me because I smiled quietly and nodded politely. No one suspected that behind my calm exterior, I was calculating leverage that could shift control overnight. I placed my first silent lever. Her flagship gallery lease was up for renewal. I secured the option to purchase without her knowledge. Next, I bought out crucial creditors who controlled her financing lines. In public, she was still thriving. Behind closed doors, she was teetering. Weeks passed. I created simulated risk reports, highlighting potential legal and financial vulnerabilities that I could use if necessary. I maintained plausible deniability, ensuring every trace of involvement was unobservable. My own company continued to thrive, giving me the credibility and resources to act without raising suspicion. I spent long nights analyzing spreadsheets while my family celebrated Lila's newest achievements. Each toast to her was a reminder of my invisibility, but also a reminder that invisibility is power when harnessed strategically. The night of Lila's anniversary gala arrived. The room sparkled with opulence, influencers, and family clapping her on the back. I wasn't invited, but I walked in anyway. Every step was measured. I ignored the whispering guests and the glances from staff. A tablet slid across the front desk and I tapped it to play a real-time financial dashboard. Every creditor, every lease, every key asset now under my control flashed on the screen. Silence rippled across the room. Her face paled. My parents froze. The board members whispered. Lila tried to laugh, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. The empire she had flaunted as untouchable was now technically mine. I didn't gloat. I didn't raise my voice. I simply offered guidance on restructuring. Jobs were saved. Investors were reassured. And I left the gala with the satisfaction of knowing the balance of power had irrevocably shifted. My family didn't cheer. They didn't apologize. They only realized what they had underestimated. In the following weeks, the power shift deepened. I gradually integrated my consortium partners into Lila's advisory structure without public announcement. I implemented operational efficiency improvements that she would never have noticed, stabilizing the empire while preserving its public image. Every employee who had once been loyal to her silently acknowledged my authority. My parents, who had long favored Lila, began seeking my counsel on minor financial matters. It was subtle, invisible, but undeniable. The final confrontation came in a board meeting I orchestrated months later. Lila entered expecting applause, charm, and control. Instead, she was met with a room of executives and advisors who quietly deferred to my plans. Her voice, once dominant, wavered as I calmly outlined restructuring strategies and leveraged creditor agreements. She realized, too late, that her golden child image had been carefully dismantled, not with noise but with precision. I didn't humiliate her publicly. I simply enforced the systems I had installed. By the end of the meeting, Lila had no leverage left. The empire she had flaunted as untouchable now operated under frameworks I designed. My family finally saw me, not as the invisible child, not as the quiet observer, but as a strategist, a force to be reckoned with. Sometimes the loudest revenge isn't shouting. It's controlling the future while everyone else applauds someone else. And as I walked out of that meeting, the room silent with awe and realization, I understood that power quietly claimed is far more intoxicating than any applause I had ever sought.